Kaleidoscope Viet.
Xin chào các bạn. Hello and welcome back to Kaleidoscope Viet. The show is hosted by Friends of Indonesia Heritage, FVH for short, the leading culture and heritage society based in Hanoi for more than 20 years. Now, we have all heard about FVH throughout the last 6 episodes, but do you know how this incredible, exciting and friendly group began?
The vision really was for all of us to learn more of the history and the culture and to understand daily life, what was happening, what things represented.
I have gained so much from FVH. It has opened doors that I never expected to be able to walk through. People that I've never expected to be friends with or known or worked with. Absolutely amazing it is.
In today's show, we're gonna chat with inspirational founders and amazing current members of FVH to know more about that. Music first. Today we have a recommendation to play music from a sensational artist, Ngô Hồng Quang, whose works are the marriage between traditional and contemporary music. The piece we are about to listen to is the mashup of two beautiful songs, Giấc mơ trên lưng and Này chân đất ơi, about the internal love of the mother in the mountainous areas for her child.
Tình giấc ngủ non ơi, hừng đông đã tinh giấc, bầu trời của con đang trái rộng, núi đá của mẹ mãi vút cao. Rừng mây buông xuống che núi của mẹ, rừng mây buông dần xuống, người đất say hương che lưng con ngủ đá kia, hốc đá kia đang nằm đâu. Kìa núi đá cao, kìa vách đá dày, đừng để nắng trói mặt, để mưa ướt đầu cho giấc mơ bay thật cao. Kìa núi đá cao, kìa vách đá dày, hãy cõng em trên lưng, tha từng hạt mầm nhỏ, để mẹ gieo sự sống lên hốc đá. Này chân đất à, này chân đất ơi, ngủ ngoan nhé em, bài ca trên lưng mẹ, lời con suối nhỏ, lời ngọn núi khuất xa. À ơi, à ơi, này chân đất à, này chân đất ơi, ngày mai lớn lên theo bước cha đi tìm đường xa gió bụi, đường xa rất xa, mãi mê cuộc đời cha. Ngọn núi già kia ôm ấp bao linh hồn, giữ trong từng phiến đá. Cổng trời cao vút cao nghiêng mình, tiếng cha về trời. Con suối nhỏ kia siêu thoát bao linh hồn, thấm trong từng giọt mưa. Con suối nhỏ ơi, khóc với ta một lần, tiếng mẹ về trời.
Này chân đất à, này chân đất ơi, ngày mai lớn lên theo bước cha đi tìm đường xa gió bụi, đường xa rất xa, mãi mê một đời cha.
Một chàng trai lớn lên, cuộc đời trên lưng ngựa, đường xa rất xa, tìm lời ru ngày xưa. Hoàng Ly ơi hót lên, để trời cao nghiêng mình, gọi tên người thương là cô gái mình yêu trao tình. Một chàng trai lớn lên, cuộc đời trên lưng ngựa, đường xa rất xa, tìm lời ru ngày xưa. Hoàng Ly ơi hót lên, để trời cao nghiêng mình, gọi tên người thương là cô gái mình yêu trao tình, là cô gái mình yêu trao tình.
Kaleidoscope Viet.
Mary Dre came to Vietnam many years ago. She and a group of her friends had the idea to create a culture-oriented group named Friends of Vietnam Heritage. Stella, the current vice chair of FVH, had an interview with Mary to find out about the organization's history in 1999.
You know, it seemed to go just one after the other after the other. I arrived in the summer of '99, and I had been the president of the Indonesian Heritage Society for 2 years and their treasurer for 2 years before that. So I'd been a member of them for 5 years, and I really knew how the organizations were structured. And I met Erica Domkarnich, and she had talked to Hugh Knock about starting such an org. She had belonged to one in Bangkok. And Dorothea Roos was at that point also active. And Lin Tuan, who was Viet Q, she was an artist in Canada at that point, but she was back. And then Bettina, and I've forgotten Bettina's last name. Bettina didn't stay very long. So, but in the very beginning, Erica said to me, now is time to start the group. So we went immediately to Hunak, and he said, you have to go to the Minister of Culture, of course. So we went to the Minister of Culture, who was rather curious, maybe suspicious as to what did we have in mind. And maybe a little bit, although I never found it at all, in general, but being an American at that point was still perhaps slightly sensitive. But we went to the Minister of Culture, and he said, fine, but I want all the names of the people that come to these things, and I want your calendar. And we said, well, we can give you the calendar, but we are just starting off. So maybe we have 80 or 90 people that are interested. I noticed in this article in September of 2000, we were up to about 200 people by that point.
Wow.
But, like your group, it was all done by email. Luckily, we had a young woman, I think Anna Marie, and she was helping broadcast our events. But Wendy Jones came. She was Canadian. She came with her husband. Wendy was one of these absolute whizzes on the computer. And it was still where, even using Hotmail, everything had to be divided into groups. You could maybe do 50 emails at a time.
Yes.
You had to constantly go back.
Yeah.
So going back to the start of it, we went to the Minister of Culture. He said, fine, tell me what you're doing all of the time.
Did you take you not with you or any Vietnamese with you?
No, at that
Just
point,
you.
just we, yeah. And of course, I really go back to the idea that the founder is Hu Nok. The vision really was for all of us to learn more of the history and the culture and to understand daily life, what was happening, what things represented. We didn't ever, I don't think we ever thought up a motto. We did get a logo, and that was Dorothea Roos that did the logo because
Yes.
yeah, she had a background in design. So she brought several to a meeting that we had, a committee meeting, and we settled on the one that we have.
Back to when you went to see the ministry, did you meet them once, or did you have to meet them quite many times and present and stuff like that?
Many times. We never actually gave them the names of people that were attending events, but we had to tell them in great detail what we were going to do, who was going to be the professor giving the lecture, where we were going to go. No, they kept track of us certainly to begin with, but by the end, I think it was by the end of the first year, they were so pleased because they wanted the students in Vietnam, particularly, to pay more attention to their culture and their heritage and to learn more about it. So they used us, as I said to someone, and almost as a part of the propaganda tool. I mean, if you can get foreigners to learn all about your country, you should be doing it. And even Levinlon said to me at one point, many people didn't have time. We were too busy fighting.
Yeah.
So, there's that long history of why people were very eager, and people in the street were always very happy to see us. But no, the Minister of Culture and the people, and again, I'm sure it helped that Hu Nok was always behind this, and the people at Tayside Publishing, they were always just great. Yeah, we had Erica Brand sessions. Our first committee meetings were in Erica's house. And then it was really Erica, Dorothea, Lin Tuong, who left not too long after that, the Canadian VQ, myself, and Bettina. And Bettina, as I said, I'm sorry, this is 24 years ago. This is a challenge I was very worried about this. And Erica gave what we called then at-home lectures. And they were sort of mini lectures on some part of the culture, history or something. They were sort of mini daytime lectures. Then Emar took them over, and then Linda took them over later. But at that very beginning, we had the evening lectures. We had ceramic and history study groups. We started excursions and the Japanese group. And the Japanese group were a ball of fire. They could think up more things to do than, they were just terrific. They were working in the museum. By then, we were all working in the museums, particularly in the History Museum, where we were starting a little bit of a tour guide, but particularly the Japanese spent a lot of time developing a guide to the museum.
Since the beginning, FVH has offered a wide range of activities, such as walks, excursions, film nights, study groups, and these fascinating features attract a lot of members from different backgrounds. One of them is the art director, Suzanne Lech, who is recognized as a leading authority on contemporary art in Vietnam.
I am Suzanne Lett. I'm an American who followed her dream and came to Hanoi in January of 1994. I saw an article written by a arts, at that time, PhD candidate, Nora Taylor. She had written an article in the Vietnam Investment Review in 1993 about a group of painters from Hanoi called the Gang of Five. And I was so intrigued by their work and their story and what they represented for this war-torn country. And of course, being American and sharing that same tragic past and being Vietnam War generation, I was looking for a place to move to. And I read the article, thought, okay, that's where I need to be. And so I came here.
So how did you come across FVH and why did it intrigue you? Because you were already here.
Yeah, I was here. Of course, I came in 94. And like I said, the idea was to work with these artists, and completely by chance on my first day, I met one of the artists. So I really started learning about the culture through the lens of these artists from my very first day in Vietnam. And you can imagine, because of your enthusiasm, learning about this culture through the artist's eyes and through the music and the literature and the pagodas and the villages. And they would take me, they would pick me up at my apartment at midnight, and we'd ride all night on their motorbikes, and we'd go to some pagoda and watch the sunrise. And, they would tell me folk tales and just all kinds of wonderful things about their life, about their culture. So I started, so by the time, I think I became friends, this is how my memory of how this all started, with Mary Dutrey. And Mary Dutrey's husband, Dennis, worked with the IMF. And Mary, they had just come from Jakarta, and she was very interested in the culture. And we started talking about all these aspects of Vietnamese culture. And I had taken her to see some of the artists that I work with. And then she told me about how in Jakarta, when they were based there, she had started this group. I guess it was called the Friends of Indonesia. And where you studied and learned about the culture. And so she told me about that group. And it was really, in my memory, it was her initiative to start this group. And then, and I don't even know what year that was.
Well, she came, so it was 99. She came in April 99. So you were here like 4 years before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 99.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. And I didn't have a public gallery at that time. I worked out of my house, like I am now, as a salon gallery. And I can remember we became friends, and we were interested in culture and cooking. She was a chef. She used to have a business.
Okay, I didn't know she was a chef.
Yeah, she was just a really interesting woman. And Dennis also was very interested. And then I think through, I guess step by step, she just put people together. Goodney.
Goodney, yes. And Erica.
Erica.
Founder, And it was all like through Hugh Ngop as well. Yes. So you did the book, because I know that they had lots of study groups, and you did the Buddhism one because you're interested in Buddhism. And was it your idea to set up a Buddhism group, or?
I think it was because, we started that. I was working at that time with Kaleidoscope Viet, who's a Buddha. He grew up in a pagoda. He was very poor. He was from Thanh Hoa. So when he was 7, his parents took him to a pagoda to live, and he lived for 10 years there. And but then when he was 17, the head monk told him that he had too much fire in his belly. And that meaning really, he was very ambitious and he was very bright. He taught himself, how to paint, and Sanskrit and Han, Chinese, all from the Buddhist text. And then he started to paint. So the head monk actually said to him, he said, you are really a gifted artist. You should go to Hanoi and go to the Fine Arts University and get training. So he did. And then I met him just when he graduated, and his work was like light years beyond anybody. And he was so good. And so I started working with him, and I was preparing for an exhibition of his work when I opened the gallery in 2002. My first show was with him and with Tran Hoang Son, who is another Buddhist scholar, and he's a teacher at the Fine Arts University. So it was really a show that was based on Buddhism. And I was very interested, had been interested in Buddhism when I was in Japan, but it was more the Zen Buddhism from Japan, which is quite different. And then when I came here, Vietnam is such a mixture, as you know, their culture, they take a little bit from this and there, and the Buddhism is so different. And through these artists, of course, was my first introduction into the symbology of Buddhism. And then I wanted to know so much more about it. So, and for the exhibition, I had contacted a Buddhist scholar. So he could explain to me the symbology in their work and what that meant. And so that's when somebody introduced me to Khao Xuan Pho, who he was born in 1930. And at that time, in 2002, he was part of the World Council on Buddhism, and he would typically go to other countries, that were studying Buddhism and represent Vietnam. So he was a well-known and very well-respected scholar. He spoke English very well. I mean, for some of the people at FVH, they had trouble understanding him, but he was so wonderful. So that's how, I was learning through him. And then I thought, certainly there's so many people. It was so fascinating. And I wanted him, he would take me to different pagodas and explain the structure and the symbology of all the statuary, and explain how Vietnamese Buddhism, is this combination of mother goddess worship, and then Taoism, and then Confucianism, and of course Buddhism, but Buddhism from India and China and Sri Lanka, everything all mixed up, and then add, all these other influences. So it's quite complicated to understand when you go into Buddha, you see all these figures. So learning where all that came from, he was just a treasure. It was so wonderful.
So he ran the class. Did he run the FVH Buddhism courses?
Yeah.
Classes?
Yeah. So he would do it. I organized the classes, and then he would. I can't remember how often we met.
John said like a lot of them were. Yeah, John said a lot of the study classes were once a month, what, a few times
once a month, I think so. Once a month. And we might have done twice a month, because we did study class and then we would do an excursion.
Wow, that's amazing. So you go out on the excursions, you sort of see the reality of what you learn. That's amazing. And were they all structured? Were all the classes structured like you were studying?
Oh, they were so well organized, because I remember I was in several classes, because my gallery wasn't open when it started, in 99. So I can remember, I think the first class I took maybe in 99 was Vietnamese history class. And the professor At that time, he was really old. He was about 85 at that time, but he was brilliant. And oh my goodness, we learned so much. And it was very organized. You know, it was at least always 2 hours long. And he was very well prepared. I mean, they took these scholars, it's amazing, you know, they took it very seriously, and they really enjoyed, I mean, they were passionate about their work. And so I remember doing that. I think somebody had organized a cooking class. There was and then Vietnamese language class.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So a lot of
yeah.
work involved that requires the members to, you know, I assume come. I suppose the members sign up the whole course. They've got to
Yes.
come for all of it. Yes.
Yeah. Somebody's in charge of each group, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that person, I mean, just like you all do now, they took their roles very seriously, and everything was so well organized.
Along with these study groups, another highlight of FVH activities back in the old day was their published series of books about Vietnamese culture. And some of the contributors look back to their journeys of writing these books.
The first book I did was the Bát Chang one, and that was 2006.
So
And that-
what was it like? Because obviously, this is probably a question I'm going to ask lots of people, because obviously 2006 is quite a long time ago. And although there was the internet, it wasn't nearly as developed as it is now with finding things. So how did you start to put Bát Chang together, the book? It's quite a complicated
Well, it's a pottery village. And so we went to the village many times and talked to a lot of people. So all those places that are mentioned in the book, we actually went to them, which is why quite a lot of names of people are mentioned. And we said, can we write about you? Can we put your name in? So as you say, internet search was not really there. And so I would say we went to the village maybe 10 times at least. And then we worked out the route for the walks. And of course, now you go to the village and it's completely different. I think you discovered that when you went to do your treasure hunt there, that this book is out of date.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because we went with John, and he was like saying, we went down one road and he's going, right over there is, I don't know what it was, a gallery or something. And he said, oh my God, it's gone. And he was trying to find all these people he knew, and they'd all gone, long gone.
That's right. Yeah.
You know?
And the whole village has changed now. It used to be very much a craft village. There were no visitors there. There was nothing. You couldn't buy a cup of coffee. There was no street food because everybody ate in their own homes.
So when you went there, who did you take with you to do research? Did you take some academics and scholars?
People who were in the group. No, we must have. Yeah, sometimes we had Vietnamese with us because of the translation problem. But then most of the people in Bát Chang who we spoke to did speak English because they were educated people. They were running businesses and things, so they did speak some English.
But what was it like when did you just turn up in Bát Chang as 2 or 3 people to do research, or did you have to get permission first?
No, we didn't have to get any permission.
You just turned up. And how did people regard you?
Yeah, we were very friendly and helpful. Everybody was very friendly and helpful. Yeah, and we're interested.
And before the book then, before the FVH book, was there any other book written in English on Bát Chang that followed the same?
I don't think so.
Wow,
No.
really? So the FVH one was the first?
Nothing. In fact, a lot of people didn't even know about the village, really.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything.
Wow, amazing. amazing. Oh my gosh. And there was no
Although,
map
of course, the history of the village is very old.
because when we did the treasure hunt, we went like 7 times to draw the map, because obviously with all the little hems and all the tiny little alleys, they're not on Google Maps. And there isn't really, there may be an OS map, I'm not sure. But again, was there, I can't remember back to the days like 2005, was Google Maps up to date? Did they have Google Maps then?
I don't think we use Google Maps.
No, did you not? You
No.
didn't have a map. I guess you just had a
No.
very basic map of Bat Chang.
Well, yeah, so the map for the walk was hand drawn. So we did have some sort of map, obviously to do the shape, but you can see the map there is always totally hand drawn.
Yeah.
I can't remember who did it. But yeah, we didn't really have anything to go on. We just did it. And it took a lot of time.
Yeah, and then when you wrote everything, did you have to, well, this probably applies to all the books. When you wrote them, did you have to get them proofread by a scholar that's an expert in that particular field?
No, we didn't have to get them read by an expert. We were the experts. But they were very carefully proofread.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when something's taken just from a Word document and then put into a book and then put into pages and things and then moved around so it all fits, then things get missed out or changed, so it was very carefully proofread. And I remember John helped with that a lot, because you have to have fresh eyes to look at it, otherwise you don't see the mistakes.
Yeah, you don't see it, yeah, especially when you've written it yourself, you don't see
you don't
pick it up. And then so because obviously I think Bat Chang was probably, I guess, one of the hardest ones to do, because it wasn't near. You obviously had to travel a bit of a way.
Yeah, we used to go out on the bus.
Yeah. Oh, the 47.
The 47.
That's so good. And I suppose because it is further away, and there may probably be less information about it. So how long did it take to actually, from starting to research the Bat Chang book to publication?
I don't know, because when I started, they'd actually spent quite a lot of time on it already, and then people were leaving. That's what it was. The main people, who were Colin and Kay Mitchell, that's right, they were leaving, and I sort of took over from them. So I have to say I didn't start it right from the beginning, but I did all the photographs and to put the text together.
Yeah.
So it took a few months.
Yeah.
A few
months. Amazing. And then before the Bat Chang book, how many books had FVH done, or were they all in a work in progress, all done at the same time?
No, they had done 4 or 5 beforehand, and they were mostly on temples. So one of the books now has a list in front. So the first one was in 2001, which was at Bac Ma. And then 2002 was Quang Tung Temple. 2003, Quang Kok Pagoda, which was then reprinted. And then 2004 was the Westlake Palace. 2005 was Langong Street. And then 2006 was Bat Chang.
Wow.
So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5.
Wow, one a year. It's like one a year.
Yeah, one a year. That's what we tried to do. And so we did 2006, 7, 8, and 9. And I think I did one in 2010 for the, the 1,000 years.
Yes. Oh.
But I don't know what it was.
Sue Fleming, one of FVH members.
So it's different, but we were several people in this Hanoi group. I call Hanoi group, we were mainly working on research in the old center and divided it up into areas, and then what the intention was to make like a guidebook with walks guided walks in the city center. And when we presented that idea to the publishing company, they were not so keen on that. They wanted us to do more, to like focus on the historical sites like the Bakma Temple and Kwantan Temple, and Chankuk Pagoda, which were the first books that were published. And then we could put the tours in the back of the books.
I see. So I see Paisley were the publishers, so they had a big influence on the structure.
Yeah, they had a big influence on the structure of the book.
I see.
Yeah, yeah. We wanted to do guided tours, a book with guided tours, but they were more interested in like promoting and getting some information written in English about the important temples and pagodas and other historical sites. So we decided to do that. How we did it was that we divided the city into different areas and try to compile all the information, start to compile all the information we had about important places in the area. And then we walked around and saw what we found interesting.
Yeah.
And then we added to that. And then we, in the next round, we brought with us a person, some of our young Vietnamese English speakers, Vietnamese could speak English, and we just went around the streets and gathered oral history, as you can. We talked to people on the streets, and they gave us information, about the places. So we just went around and then gathered a lot of information that way. And then we walked, took another round with some of the Vietnamese scholars that we were working with. For instance, with Professor Levan Lam. And then he added something, and then then we had compiled information, and then of course it was read over by different people, and yeah, so that's how we did it.
Goodney, FVH treasurer.
Kaleidoscope.
My name's Anh, and I'm from the FVH excursion team. Weekend, once a month, a group of FVH members will get on a minibus together for a day excursion out of the hustle and bustle city center to the suburban areas of Hanoi or nearby provinces like Bắc Ninh and Nam Dinh. We depart in the early morning, and then after 1 or 2 hours, fresh air and the tranquil atmosphere welcome us, and everyone is excited to get off the bus to start the mini adventure. Here we often visit ornate architectures like pagodas, temples, communal houses, and sometimes the whole complex belonging to a particular village. Time seems to stop when we fortunately meet some architectures with details and surroundings mostly remain intact, like what it used to be hundreds of years ago. We meet some community leaders, often the middle-aged and elderly, who take care of their places to learn about the history, the people worship there, and worshipping rites, and we appreciate the beauty of the architecture. It is often harder to find a complex like this in the city. It is often renovated, or its surroundings are occupied by high-rises, tube houses and shops instead of the ponds, yachts and gardens. Besides such relaxing moments, there is a fascinating time to meet, talk, and even join a handicraft workshop with the local artisans, the living heritage. Since the early day of the excursion activity, our members have been longing for learning how to make their own handicraft items. For example, the bamboo dragonflies, the traditional mini figurines, and even the small lacquer paintings. The workshop allows us to understand how meticulous, dedicated, and talented the artisans are.
Where was one of the first excursions you organised?
John Riley, current FVH Vice Chair.
One I remember, I don't know if it was one of the first, but it was to a village called Hung Kang, which they make the roof tiles. The whole village makes roof tiles, so that's where those come from. In fact, if you turn one of those tiles over, it'll say Hung Kang on it. But there were two artists in that village that didn't make roof tiles. They made figurines and vases, and they were kind of the outcast of the village. So we went to visit them.
Yeah.
And there were about, probably about 14, 15 people on that trip.
14, not
14.
1-4. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my size. Yeah.
And we had a small bus, and we went out there and went and visited the first artist. And he said, well, I have a friend, we must go visit with him. So they started out, they walked up through the village, and I followed behind and got stopped and talked to someone. And then the next thing I knew, they were gone. I couldn't find any of them. And this village has very narrow walkways all through it. And I walked up and down some of them, and I couldn't find
And
the
you
group.
had and what about the members? Were they not with you? No.
I was supposed to be leading them, yes.
With the members with you,
No.
or had they gone ahead?
They'd
with
gone
these
ahead
people?
with the artist. And so, I looked around, finally gave up, just went back to the bus and waited for them. Finally, they came back.
Did they wonder where you were?
Yeah.
Did the artist speak English?
Yes. Actually,
Okay, so
they
you
did.
you didn't have to take any interpreter with you.
We had an interpreter. We had she was a PhD student here and knew some Vietnamese, so she was our.
We enjoyed the trips out of the city, and we stayed. John will remember, we went up north and we stayed out for a couple of nights, and I mean that was a big adventure. Took a lot of organizing.
Yes, you see, that's very interesting now, because we don't really do the 2 days. Every now and then we do. It's the 1 day excursions. And again, I think it's because everyone can do it. And there's now so much more options, and people's times are different because people work, people do different jobs, etc. And it's actually very hard. I've noticed it's very hard for us now to organize a 2 day trip. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas in your day it's different, isn't it? It's the need, I suppose I'm bad at explaining this. It's like the need for what people wanted FVH for in those early days is similar but different to what it is now.
Yeah.
You know, it's because now it's so easy to travel by yourself.
Yeah, it is. And also you just look up everything on the internet. I mean, I went for a walk last week. At Saxon, we went out past the airport, and we had a map on the phone that showed the route to walk, where there was nothing like that in 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
So you relied on somebody else to do the research, and before a day trip or a weekend trip, I know that, well, like you do, you have to go out and do the research first and plan it all, and that took a lot. I wasn't involved in that. I just used to go on the trips.
And I guess in those days as well, there was more input from the scholars and the academics as well.
There was. And
where
that
they
was
had
where
to.
the meetings did come in. So Professor Lan, I can't remember his
Lê Van Lan.
Yeah,
Lê
that's
Van
right.
Lan.
He came with us on some of the trips, and he would give us all the historical background.
Memories of it being so rewarding, and how grateful I feel for those scholars.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
because when Khao Xuan Pho, he was really quite mystical, and you can Google him and see he had on his forehead, there's like the third eye. I mean, it's really, I mean, he was this world-renowned Buddhist scholar, but he had like at the very center of his
So like
forehead,
a birthmark sort of thing.
it was a round circle, but it was actually like there was an injection of it was round, and it extruded like the third eye. And I always thought I was very dominant. You can see it in any photograph of him. So he was kind of like the perfect scholar. And my most memorable trip with him is he took us, this was maybe in about 2003, I think. He took us to Chua Cham, the 100 pillar pagoda that's up in, it's not too far. I don't know what province it's in. Yeah, I'm not sure what province this is. Not about, an hour outside of Hanoi. It's one of the oldest pagodas.
This as well. I think Goodney mentioned this. Yes.
Beautiful pagoda. So it's very, very old, and a lot of just information about Taoism, and there's a lot of influence of Taoism in that pagoda. But then what's also amazing on that excursion, then he took us to just right across the way from the Cham Pagoda is the cave where the Voice of Vietnam did their radio broadcast from 1946 for many years. And in 1947, the Voice of Vietnam, they go back to that cave, for celebrating. I think in 2015 was their
so 2015 would be there. Interesting. No, I remember you saying that. I think it's in Chung Mi. I think the pagoda is Cham Zam Pagoda in Chung Mi, just outside Hanoi.
Yeah.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so when they had a reunion to celebrate, they went, because in 1947, that cave is where Ho Chi Minh read a poem on the Voice of Vietnam to wish the world a Happy New Year.
Oh,
it's really so beautiful. I can read you the poem. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, go on, read it.
Okay, the poem says, this is his poem. The red flag with a yellow star flew in the wind. The fanfare for resistance resounded nationwide. The entire nation has joined the fight, and the fight has been comprehensive. Our spirit is ready, our minds unanimous. Forward, soldiers, forward, people. Our strength is ample, our forces many. The long-term fight is sure to achieve victory. Unity and independence are sure to be achieved. How beautiful is that?
That's so lovely. Oh God, that's amazing. Oh, that's
So, of
amazing.
course, yeah, with all that history. And then there's some at the top where that cave is, which is just, just across from the Cham Pagoda, there's some little temple on the very top. So we hiked up there too. And it's all, of course, in honor of that, of Vietnam and the ancestors and the founders and the spirit that allowed Vietnam to defeat all these forces.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Loan, and I'm a volunteer for the English work section of Friends of Vietnam Heritage. Talking about my encounter with Friends of Vietnam Heritage would take me all the way back to my memory lane. It was around the same time after Tet holidays, back in 2014. It was when I had recently come back to Vietnam after some time in the UK, and I was looking for something to do in addition to my full-time job to reconnect to the Vietnamese traditions and customs, while also meeting new friends and hopefully giving something back to the community. And it was exactly what I have found in Friends of Vietnam Heritage. Not only that, but so much more. In our team, we have a very humble group organizing various walks around different areas in Hanoi, like the Old Quarter, the Westlake areas. These are culturally rich and informative walks that last for 2 to 3 hours for people who love to know more about the city and want to look at it from different perspectives while walking. Well, this may sound a bit academic, but it's actually not. We are just like a group of friends and who want to explore the country's culture and traditions, and we find various interesting stories behind those closed doors of some in-house temples in Hanoi's Old Quarter. Like, even for me, myself being Vietnamese, it is always fascinating to learn things from different angles. Well, for example, I had never known how the hats of the Mandarin statues in the pagodas were different from each other, or the real reasons why we burn paper things to our ancestors. So thanks to Friends of Vietnam Heritage, I've learned all that. I have been told that the walks that we do around Hanoi can be seen as unique of its kind. This is in the sense that people don't find it anywhere else, not in other tourism agencies. Like, no one else does it quite like us. Really, you can easily fall in love with a secret quiet corner hidden in the Old Quarter and feel refreshing looking up at the mixture of French architecture and Vietnamese touch on the streets of the cities, all in our walks. And I'm so proud that more and more people are sharing with us the love for our beautiful country and this heartening passion to preserve our cultural heritage. So, you know, though the COVID-19 pandemic did not spare us last year and the year before, when we had to cancel or postpone many activities, I'm very positive that this year will be much brighter, and eventually we will be able to kiss the pandemic goodbye for good.
You know, I came to Vietnam with my family because of my husband's business. And I have 2 kids and they go to school and I have a lot of spare time then. And I was looking for something I get into. And one of my friends introduced a group.
That's
and
one of your friends said about FVH.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But I wanted to join as just a participant, nothing member. But you know, the tour was really tours were really popular and very hard to join, and
Because they got booked up quickly.
yes. They always 3 or 5 minutes is full. Yeah. And only way to join the tour was to be a guide, you know. Yeah, that's why I joined as a member. But then I was really shy, and I never think I can be the guide then.
Yeah. So actually for you then, FVH, so FVH has meant a lot to you. So FVH has helped you grow in confidence.
Yeah. FVH changed me. Yeah.
Yuko, the member of the FVH Japanese group.
We've been running a film screening activities for a long time, along with other typical activities of FVH like walks or excursion. Actually, we believe that cinema has played an important role in the Vietnamese society and culture, and we are really happy to be able to maintain the screening activities as a way to nurture the love for cinema and at the same time enjoy a lot of nice movies. For the past decade, we were very lucky to be able to collaborate with different parties to conduct the screening activities at different special venues in Hanoi. As far as I remember, one of the first places we used to screen a lot of classic Vietnamese movies was the Cinematheque in Hai Ba Trinh Street. As you may know, at that time, Cinematheque was one of the especially iconic venues for cinema lovers in Hanoi. It was a really thrilling and cozy corner, hidden in an alley in the center of the city, where we could enjoy from the black and white classic films in the 1950s to the color films in post-war period or the early modernization period in early 2000s. However, the cultural space were unfortunately closed to make the way for the shopping malls in the year 2016, which made us a lot of culture lovers, including us, feel very sorry. And after that, our Friends of Vietnam Heritage moved to a new place in Vietnam Feature Film Studio in Thuy Khuê Street, another landmark of Vietnamese cinematography in Hanoi. And we continue our great journey with Vietnamese movies there. In Vietnamese feature film studio, we had chances to introduce different films made by the VFS filmmakers, and also able to talk with their directors in screening activities over the night, when they share a lot of emotional and inspiring stories behind the scene. Such as I still remember the director Vương Đức, who was one of the managing personnel of VFS, or the husband and wife couple Thanh Vân and Nhuệ Giang, who are very talented, well-known Vietnamese filmmakers. And the next, also the latest venue so far, is the Center TPD, the Center for Young Movie Talent Development, with the office located on Trần Hưng Đạo Street. Here we continue screening classic Vietnamese movies and at the same time started expanding the movie type with documentaries of various topics, and also the contemporary interesting films which are getting more and more attention from the young audience. Besides, we also collaborated with TPD to introduce the films by independent producers as a way to encourage them in their journey. You know what? Nowadays, there are a lot of young, talented movie makers who make films with great passion, but very, very low budget. And actually, they were still able to produce very good quality products. And we really highly appreciate it. From the point of audience and cinema lovers, we feel really optimistic actually for the young but very promising, fast-growing Vietnamese cinematography industry.
This article has, by the end of the first year, we had about 200 people on our email list. And the lectures in that would draw crowds. Well, we also started the film nights at that point. Jerry Herman was there.
So that you started that in like 2001?
2001, basically. Because there hadn't been very many of them before I left, and I left in the summer that year. Jerry Herman was the connection there, and he knew particularly Vietnamese filmmakers. So he's a great source. And again, we had them at the press club, and they were great. Of course, we had to charge then. I think we were charging 70,000, but you got a glass of soda or a glass of wine with it or whatever. You know, that's the price of.
But you know what? Yes, but our prices haven't gone up that much. For film night, it's 150 because we have to pay. Because we have to pay like Cinematheque, obviously. We have to pay venue hire, and where we are now, TPD, we have to pay venue hire. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge rise in 20 years.
No, it is amazing. So
in the past, Friends of Vietnam Heritage shows screen many Vietnamese film, even the documentary film that which is not screened on the normal cinema. And many people come and see. And then they came and they got the chance to meet the directors of this. They met the main actor or main actress of that film. So many films will still have a waiting list.
Wow. Was that a Cinematheque? Was that when it was
other
on
Cinematheque? Jerry Harmon really support Friends of Vietnam Heritage. For many events, Jerry Harmon and Hùng is very supportive.
Hung, one of Vietnamese FVH member.
Hi there, I'm Maria, and I've been the coordinator of FVH Book Club for 3 years. Let's start with a bit of history. The book club meeting started in February 2018 when Christine and Pew, two previous members of FVH, started meeting monthly at different locations together with other English-speaking readers, both foreigners and Vietnamese. And I was there. We already met almost 30 times now, 8 times a year on average, with a long interruption for COVID restrictions. We tried to meet online, but some members were not so fond of it, so we stopped and waited for better times. How does the FVH Book Club work? During the month, we read a book and then we meet to talk about it. It is an informal sharing of ideas, emotions, thoughts. Everybody can contribute. By now, we have read only books written by Vietnamese authors, but one. A very popular novel on Vietnam written by a Western writer. I'm sure you can guess the title. We all share the same passion for books, so we like meeting and getting to know each other a bit better in front of a cup of tea. Our readers have diverse competences, have diverse background and ages. The group is never the same, as the length of our stay in Vietnam usually depends on our jobs. Literature is seen as a means to better understand the country. Our Vietnamese readers are an asset of the group because they can fill the translation gap with new meanings and they can tell us about the reception of the local public. How do we choose our books? In the past, we chose books according to readers' suggestions, availability in stores, and we tried to alternate genre. Starting the current season, late in 2021, I propose a choice of popular classics, poetry, novels, short stories, as the group is mostly made of newcomers, both to Vietnam or to the book club. For next season, we'll go for more contemporary text, both of Vietnamese and overseas Vietnamese. So please come and meet us. You'll find the date and the location of next meetings on FVH website. Bye-bye.
I think the book clubs before I joined with Friends of Vietnam Heritage, but since that time when I joined, with many activities, we tried to introduce the Vietnamese literatures to expert. Before why I studied at the university, I had a professor and he professors about the Vietnamese cultures and about the literatures. So I think, oh, it's a good chance. And at that time, I know many famous people.
Like who?
Like Nguyễn Huy Thiệp, like the writers, the very famous writers of Vietnam, and like Bảo Ninh. I know many. I couldn't remember now. I couldn't remember all now because it's long, but I met many. So I think, oh, it's a good chance for me to join. So, and I join, and I like to make the networking for everyone. So I introduce these people to these people. So they want to have events. So I go into. I know this writer, so I will bring the writers to the events, something like this. And then I read. I like reading, so I read many books, especially about the Vietnamese literatures. So that's it.
So can you remember, just out of interest, can you remember some of the books that you read that were being read when you it would be interesting to see if
the retired general
retires,
general retires, and I invite Nguyễn Huy Thiệp comes, and the Star of War, Bảo Ninh, and I invite Bảo Ninh comes, and how about a book that names Hanoi Story? Many books about the like a Palm Miller. So I know, and I know I don't know, but that time I have many networks, so I know that when she came to Hanoi, and I invite her to join the book group meetings, to talks with the expert here, because she lived in Hanoi for a long time and be back to America, and then when I don't know why I didn't remember, but I know her schedule to come to Hanoi, so I invite her to join the event, something like this.
So how did you know the authors? Did you know the authors through your studies at university?
I studied at the university, but I am really a good. I'm very close with my professors, and he took me to many places he joined, and he introduced me. So that's why I know the famous people. Because I know the Professor Lin, he passed away already, but he is very well known with the Vietnamese literature community. And
what was his name?
Nguyễn Liên. Nguyễn Liên.
And do you think the team that set it up wanted it to last that long, or was everyone really just focused on the years that they were here?
Well, yeah, that's one of the things about Hanoi, is that it's a transient village. Many of the people are here for 3-4 years, and then they have to travel on. But yeah, for those 3 or 4 years, everyone worked hard at keeping FVH going and doing what they did. And from that became a lot of great ideas and set up a lot of our great activities. And those have carried on, yeah. So it's, yeah, even for 20 years.
I know. We'll have to plan our 30th, John.
Yes.
Well, I was saying to Goodney, it's only 7 years to go.
What?
It's only 7 years to go, the 30th anniversary, just to warn you. So FVH has been very privileged to have had some collaboration with Thich Nhat Hanh. Yes.
Amazing.
Very special.
Our Buddhism
How
group
did that come along?
Was notified by the local group here that Thich Nhat Hanh was coming, and would we help organize
What
some
an
lectures.
honour!
Really
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. So we did. We held the first one at Goethe Institute, and it was packed. Goethe couldn't seat that many people, but they were outside wanting to get in and they couldn't. So we decided we would do it again, but this time at the Melia Hotel, which we booked the ballroom, the large ballroom, and we sat 700 people for Thich Nhat Hanh's second lecture here. We also did one at the Sheraton too, which had over 400. I was absolutely amazed.
Oh, and the people that, so this was for FVH members and anyone in the Buddhist community. Yeah.
They helped organize it and do the ticketing and
what an honor, though.
it really was. And
Oh
to
my gosh.
be able to meet him and the rest of the Sangha was quite an opportunity.
And was Suzanne in charge of that group?
Suzanne was part of it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, trying to remember her name. I don't. She's a German director of GTZ.
Oh,
his wife.
Wow. Goodness me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's interesting because FVH is clearly right from the start got a lot of gravitas and a lot of academic respect, you know, which is interesting because it's been a group of people that are interested in history that have learned as they've gone along, connecting with the right people.
That's what makes FVH is the members that come along and join us in our activities is their interest. They want to learn more about Vietnam. So they come up with ideas, they come in and offer help, and they come and join our governing committee, and that's what keeps us going. It really does.
I know, it's amazing. And I think I said to Goodney and Mary that we've lost a lot of members over the past year or so because people leaving COVID and but all of a sudden everyone, like lots of people's postings have ended, and yet we've got some really lovely new members. And I say, how did you find out about us? And they said, we googled you, and people have said in our office to join you, you know, like that. And it's amazing.
I'm amazed. Word of mouth is a big benefit.
But they're all like-minded people. They're all like-minded people because, of course, if you don't know FVH, you don't really know what to expect. But somehow the right people come along.
Yeah, well, the addition of a nice web page now and our schedule being on that is easier for people to see what we do and where the events will be held and that. Yes.
Do you think that FVH makes more of a contribution now than it did? Because originally the focus of FVH was different 20 odd years ago.
It was, yeah. Hugh Knopp helped out getting us more into charitable work. He organized a cultural fund, and through some funds that FVH helped the group get, they were able to buy musical instruments for some of the children in the small schools outside of Hanoi, bicycles, help buy books. Tezoi Publishers came out with a lot of the books. And then the Hope Choir, we helped Hope Choir through that also. Hugh Knopp had a good friend that organizes the Hope Choir.
Oh, did the association with the Hope Choir go back?
Yes.
To the early days,
These were all good friends at one time.
Oh,
so
yeah, Hugh Knopp and Zutton. And Chiam, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely to know we've had that long association with them.
It's been a great association. Yeah.
Bless them. And then the Hanoi Library, we got our.
Yes.
So that helps the community as well.
Yeah, that started one time. People were leaving, and they said, "What do we do with these books? We can't take them with us." So we started collecting books, and then we approached the library and asked if we could have a bookshelf there, and they thought it was a great idea. So up in one of their reading rooms, we have it's probably 8 foot tall, big bookshelf filled with books that have been donated to FVH to put in this English books, and it's a good resource center for our people if they're doing books or tours or that. They can go there and take a look.
I think FVH had many challenges in the early days, which I think in a way I wish we could get back. Because they were fun challenges.
They were.
You know, and there's many things that are easy for us to do now. And many things that'd be lovely to bring back.
True. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we could offer a lot. We really could. it's a different view of some things that Vietnam does, the expat view. So it's interesting to be able to offer that, and
Yeah.
some will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think our challenge now is lack of time, because so many people work, a lot of the committee work, and we're competing with many other different organisations, you know, so it's a lack of time, but we've made it work, and we've still got the what do you call it, the solid dependable events like our walking tours, which always get full up.
Yep.
They never fail.
Yeah. Soon we can start excursions again,
yes,
too.
and
So
people
that will be
love
helpful.
them. People love them, even if it's a place they've been to many times. Because I think we're back to this: you're joining a group of friends for a day out, but learning something not as a tourist, you know, but as a resident of Hanoi.
Yeah,
you know,
different doors are open.
Yeah.
As a tourist, you see the outside, but whereas FVH is able to get you to the inside.
Yeah.
And yes, yeah, we're very lucky there.
And that is all for today's show. Time changes, and FVH has also evolved. Although now the group has to face many challenges, we believe that we will always fulfill our duty as a bridge that connects Vietnamese culture with people from around the world. We will return with another exhilarated aspect of Vietnam in the next episode. Tạm biệt và hẹn gặp lại các bạn.